Should men today get married?
No! Hell no! No!
Today's video is a double whammy from two of my favorite creators. We got Hafiz from the Roommate Podcast and Patrick from Valuetainment. Should men today get married? Let's get started right now.
Brim low on my fitted, dreams has always been vivid. I'm just trying to go get it, catch me right around and I'm ignorant, I'm just rolling.
They say the Jewish proverb says there's three things every man should do: write a book, plant a tree, have a son. Why? Because they all outlive you. We as men want to live thousands of years. The only way you're going to live thousands of years is by the value you bring to the world that's documented, is by giving back to, and I know the tree is what they're saying with tree, not even tree today, because a tree is being cut down and turned into paper. It's a business model now, right? But it's family, it's blood. And when you see your kid and you find somebody to build a family with that's a good partner, meshes with you, good personality, you sit there and say, okay, great, this looks good. We can actually pull this off. Then there's value for it.
Sorry, Hafiz, we can't do multiple intros, but I left a piece in to show love. But so true. Did you know that I'm trying to get to 10K by June? So if you're rocking with me, click the button. Oh, and buy my t-shirt, bitch. Seriously though, did you know I'm a third? Of course you didn't. Y'all don't even know my damn name. But I'm a third. My son is the fourth, and God willing, I will live to see the fifth come. I call that legacy. You hear guys bragging about money, cars, leg counts, but they don't have a legacy. It's an old saying that you die twice. The first time is when they put you in the ground. The second time is the last time someone mentions your name. Legacy.
And so one of the things is there's a lot of conversations about, the behaviors of very successful men. And, and I always say there's levels to the game. There's the guys that, there's the 100,000s, there's the millions, there's the 10 million, Pat's at the top of the level. You know what I mean? Pat is a guy who is an extremely successful man. A lot of people will show things on social media, but Patrick, hands down, successful man that you cannot deny. So one of the questions that people always ask is, what is the incentive of a very successful, especially financially successful man to settle down and get married? So I'm very curious about, from your
question.
personal perspective, as a man who was being successful, who had an onward trajectory, who was doing so well, what made you decide to get married?
The risk is very high, by the way, to get married. For me, when I was 28, I had made a decision I'm never going to get married. I said, I'm staying single. And my assistant, very good friend of mine at that time, Sandra, Patty, said, why don't you go read this book, 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged, by Norman Wright. So I read the book. When I read the book, I'm like, interesting. I was talking to 4 girls at the time. I said, why don't you guys read this book as well and see how you feel about it? So they did. I'm like, I could never be with you. You and I would never work out. But I asked the one question: why get married? There's way too much risk to it. So then I sat there and said, well, you have somebody to come home to every night. You can still have somebody to come home to if you're single. Matter of fact, you can have options. If you know what I mean? When you have the money, you can do whatever you want to do with that. Yeah. But tax benefits, I don't care about that. I can move to another state and get better tax benefits. It's somebody that it's somebody that can help you. It's somebody that can do this. Not there yet. And then it goes to, okay, look, you can make all the money in the world. Then what? Like, what leaves you? A book? Yeah, they say the Jewish proverb says there's three things every man should do: write a book, plant a tree, have a son. Why? Because they all outlive you. We as men want to live thousands of years. The only way you're going to live thousands of years is by the value you bring to the world that's documented, is by giving back to, and I know the tree is what they're saying with tree, not even tree today, because a tree is being cut down and turned into paper. It's a business model now, right? But it's family, it's blood.
One of the best decisions I've made in life was to settle down and start a family. I don't regret much, but if I could take back the years of all the time I spent in meaningless relationships, I would trade dating tons of women for more moments with my parents and siblings. See, as you get older, you start to watch your parents get older and you realize no one lives forever. So choose wisely who you create moments with.
And when you see your kid and you find somebody to build a family with that's a good partner, meshes with you, good personality, you sit there and say, okay, great, this looks good. We can actually pull this off. Then there's value for it. But I'm going to tell you something here right now. Basic rules about getting married today. If I'm a man, I'm not getting married before 30 at all. I would not even think about getting married pre-30. A lot of people argue with me. You don't know what you're talking about. I got married at 22 years old and I'm happily married. I'm 62. 22, 62, that was 40 years ago. That means the 80s.
Yeah.
You didn't have social media. You didn't have Snapchat. You didn't have Tinder. You don't have accessibility to what's out there today. Accessibility to sex today is so easy. The ability to be tempted today and screw up is so easy. The ability to screw up and make a royally, publicly humiliating mistake today is very high. And ain't no man walk on water. Okay? And no man walks on water. Everybody sees and says, oh my gosh, oh, she's beautiful, but I'm married. There's nobody that's perfect to say, oh, I don't have to worry about the mistakes I'm going to make. The risk is high today. The reward is not as high as it used to be because at least back in the days, say you and your wife got into a fight 20 years ago. You got a 30-minute drive, okay? And at the office, you talk to her. Why don't I come home and talk to you tonight? You got 30 minutes to calm down by the time you come home. Today, if you get into a fight, instantly, that second, what you want to say, you say. So you offend, scar. It's just like, dude, I'm so done with this marriage. So today, we have too much of the opportunity to react instantly. There's too much instant reaction. And, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. That fight is too instant. So those are all scars that you're leaving on each other, right?
Which is why, as men, you must watch what you say because women don't forget shit.
And eventually, after all the scars you get, it's like, I just have no desire to do anything with you in bed anymore. I really don't. I'm good. You're facing this way. She's facing that way. So it has to be built on the right values and principles. It has to be somebody that you date for some time and you see all the dark side of them and yourself to see if you can do this or not. Preferably a referral that's coming through somebody instead of cold. I knew my wife 5.5 years before we got married. She knew my flaws. I knew her flaws. Oh, yeah, she dated other guys. I dated other girls. And eventually we said, let's see what could happen here. And we build a family together. You have to create certain criterias before you, and when you get married, watch the fights, watch the arguments, watch how people argue. I remember one time my wife, we were dating, and she is about to lose financially. She wasn't in the best of place at that time. Certain, challenges took place. She was in a mortgage real estate business. And 1 month, she calls, we've been together for 3 months. She says, this month, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I'm like, ooh, okay, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
She said, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I'm like, really? Yeah. What are you thinking you're going to do? I don't know. What do you think I should do? I said, well, number one, I would go return your BMW that you have. That's $850 a month car payment, white convertible. I'd go return that and say, can't pay the payment anymore. What else would you do? Number two, I'd go back and I would get a Nissan Sentra, $200 a month. That saves you $600 a month. Okay, what else would you do? I'd go back, and I know you're doing insurance and real estate right now. I'd go back and get your old job where you worked to give you a good shift where they can pay you $40,000. That at least covers your, expenses. What else would you do? Boom, boom, boom. I said what I said. And she says, okay. I said, what do you mean? Let's go return the car.
Aw, that's fire. I've got a few similar stories about mine, but leave a comment if you want to hear it.
I said, you sure? That day, we drove to BMW. She returned her car. Then we drove up to Sentra. She got the Sentra. Then she went back to her job, and she got a job. And so I said, never once did she say, can you lend me $1,250? Not one time. So to me, that was like, okay, because my biggest concern was, I have money, so you're kind of trying to. Never did that. And I said, she has no clue. She just passed an incredible test for us, right? Yeah. So it's very risky, and there is no 100%. Everything about marriage today is odds. And sometimes you can have a fight that no matter what, Kansas City Chiefs are supposed to win the Super Bowl, and Brady could still win. So you can still do all of it right, and the odds are in your favor for this marriage to work. It could still fail.
Yeah, no, that is a conversation that we're always having, and I think to me, similar to you, I think the advantage of a man's ability to raise his son is so important in today, especially as the world gets more and more crazier. I just think, that's one of the incentives for me, is that, like, similar to how my father was able to be in my life. And I know you shared a story last time on the podcast, how having that 1 week with your dad, 1 day a week with your dad really shaped your life. And I always said that I grew up very rich, and people are like, oh my gosh, you were spoiled. How much cars? You're like, no. My parents were immigrants. We had no money. But my dad gave me so much love and time.
Powerful,
and that was the richness that I grew up with. So
Grown man shit. My parents didn't have much, but we still managed to take vacations every summer. We weren't poor either, but the love was rich. My father's goal was for me to be a better man than him, and I want the same for my son.
Yeah.
For me, the beauty and value is in that for marriage. And so you made a point about criteria for selecting a wife. So if your son was 32 years old, he established himself financially, you see he's doing well, and he's trying to settle down, what would be 3 criteria that you give him for a wife that comes off the top of your mind?
Yeah, so first of all, you have to be physically attracted. So that's not even one of the 3, but you do have to be physically attracted. Okay. So the whole idea about, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, no, it matters. Okay, it matters. And by the way, my wife and I, till today, we talk and we say, hey, we have to stay in shape for each other. We have to be attractive to each other. We have to want to have sex with each other, because that is a very important part of marriage. So it's not like 280 pounds, but you said through thick and thin. Yeah, it's a little too much thick right now, and I'd like some thin, right? But so that is a part. And sometimes men let themselves go, and you see, they got a big pouch. Well, but you're my wife. That's not how things work. You have to. So, but let's set that part aside. For me, number 1 would be values and principles. And
I gotta stop him again. The woman you marry should have the same values you would want your daughter to have. So if you wouldn't want your daughter to grow up and become an IG model or an OnlyFans girl, why would you wife one? Because she's just gonna pass those values down to your daughter.
I'll explain to you from my parents' standpoint. Both my parents are Christians, right? But why did they get a divorce? Here's why. My mom was a communist. My dad was an imperialist. My mother believed rich people were bad people. My dad thought poor people were lazy. Look how big of a conflict that is.
Yeah.
So my dad's trying to become rich, but that's who my mom hates. How can your husband become exactly what you hate? The more my dad's aspiring to become rich, the more you despise rich people. Why would he become rich? You don't like rich people. I don't know if that made sense or not.
Yeah, it makes
so
perfect
it's kind of like,
sense.
dude, I'm trying to really give you the life, but she despises rich people. So values and principles. To me, politics is almost more important than religion. People say, why would you say that? That's so weird. Okay, so if a Christian marries a Catholic, yeah, they're both Christians, a little bit different. If a Christian marries a Jew, okay, one's a Christian, one's a Jew. But it's very different, Patrick. I get it. But 10 Commandments, okay? Yeah. Same values and principles in that area, but economically, if you believe certain economy is going to be one way and she believes in a different way, if you believe politically one side and she believes, you're causing too many fights. And you're causing way too many things for kids to also have more fights with. So philosophically, you got to be on the same page. The magic, the excitement's got to be there when you're around each other. It's not going to be like that forever because, when you have kids, you can't have sex for 3 months. And it's going to be a lot of things that's going to hurt the magic at times. But there's got to be that twinkle where you're like, man, I can't wait to see her. I can't wait to go have that dinner with her, right? And then, ask a lot of questions up front. Man, I said, so let me ask you this. Yeah, what are we going to do one day if this happens? What would you do? One time I asked my wife, I said, let me ask you, if we get into a big fight, okay, terrible fight, I'm talking horrible fight. We're together for 9 months when I asked this question. I said, who would you call? She said, I would call this person, that person, this person, this person, this person. I said, okay. So I got a paper and pen out. Tell me about this person. Are they married? No, she's divorced. Okay. Tell me about this person. Tell me about that person. I said, yeah, I'm not ready to get married. She says, why not? I said, because everybody you call is going to defend you. And they need to defend me. But everyone's going to defend you. She says, what do you mean? Who are you going to call if we get into a fight? I said, let me tell you who. I said, Dudley, my dad, and I went through a list of the names that I would call. I said, you know what every one of these guys would defend? Who? You. They would all say I messed up to come and apologize to you. I said, you see, the challenge is if I have way too many divorced friends, Divorced friends like to recruit people to the divorce community.
Wow.
Married people like to recruit people to the married community.
God damn it, Patrick, giving up my secrets. Honestly, I just want you guys to be happy. Married, happily married. Bro, there's no such thing. Shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you. You guys spend a lot of time listening to guys in their 40s still dating around. And I learned at a young age that isn't what I wanted to do. Do you guys really want to be 40 still chasing women? At that age, even if you have kids, you'll be old by the time they're in their teens. I personally want to live long enough to see my kids have kids, just like my father did.
Mm-hmm. Single people like to recruit people to what? Single community. We're all recruiters, by the way.
Yeah.
So when you get married, it's very important that most of the people you're around is also what? Like you.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to be tempted. So I made the list. She made the list. So you guys got to have the conversation where you ask and say, hey, if something happens, who are you going to call? And then I'm telling you, 90% of the questions you're asking me is in 101 questions to ask before you get engaged. Baggage. What do you bring to the table? You know, what things do I have to worry about? Exes. Are you comfortable with a kid? I guess the last one I would add with you would be the following. Create a list of your 3 non-negotiables, which means, look, no matter what, we have to be both same faith, hypothetically. No matter what, you can't have any kids. No matter what, you can't be married before. Or no matter what, you can't have this. Create your 3 no matter what, and don't create a 20 no matter what. Only 3 no matter what. So you got to think about all the no matter what's and then narrow it down to what? 3. Once you have your 3, never compromise the 3. Many people do, just because the sex is good, or just because she's too pretty, or just because he's way handsome, or just because, you cannot compromise your non-negotiables. When I'm running a company, a guy came up and he says, hey, Pat, let's do a deal on the side. I'm going to pay you $1 million a year. And this is when I was smaller. He said, I'm going to pay you $1 million a year. No one's going to know. Let's do a side contract. I said, you know what's crazy? He says, what's that? I said, you have no idea how much I need that $1 million right now. He says, I said, you have no idea how much I need that $1 million right now. I'm telling you, I need that $1 million right now because I'm bleeding. I said, but do you know if one of my guys finds out who's loyal to me, that I did a side deal with them with you, even though I've never known you before, we just started like 6 months ago. I said, I lose trust with all. I said, I can't do that. It's part of my non-negotiable. I said, I can't do it. I said, I appreciate the offer, but I cannot take you on that. He was blown away. Because everybody else said.
Hey, Patrick, what's his number? I'm trying to see something real quick.
Because one of my non-negotiable was win your existing loyal people over and never disrespect them. Always protect them. Once you do that and you're going into a marriage, you're hopefully the odds will be on your side. But still, it's very important to know there is no perfection when it comes down to that. If you wait for that part, you'll never. If you actually do want to get married, there is no perfection. There is risk. There is concern. Your heart could be broken. Things could go wrong. But you're just hoping the odds are on your side.
I'll leave a link to the full episode below. And while you're down there, check out my Why Happy Wife, Happy Life is a Live video. I'm out.